Hi, I'm Dr. T, and I'm a pediatrician. On Ask Dr. T, I answer health questions from teens. Questions ranging from safe sex to self-love to questions about body parts. Let's get this episode started. All right, so these questions are all about sort of like libido and troubleshooting some issues when it comes to intimacy. So first question, is it normal to not feel the vibrations when using a vibrator, a vibrating egg, etc.? So I would want to ask a couple more questions about this. So to straightforward answer you, no, it's not normal. But I would first ask where you are using the vibrator. Generally, vibrators are going to be best designed for the clitoris, but some people also find pleasure with inserting into the vagina. So that might be something that you are experiencing, is that if you're using the vagina, not everybody achieves orgasm or feels pleasure from the vagina. So I would learn your pleasure spots a little bit more and focus more on the clitoris for sure. That said, there are still some individuals who do not have sensation of the clitoris, and that could be for a couple of reasons. First, sometimes sexual trauma or an abuse history can result in loss of pleasure down there. And it's not necessarily long term, but if this is something that happened to you, I would very strongly recommend counseling. And you can get the pleasure back for sure. But that is one potential reason that you might not be feeling things down there. Another thing, though, is that there are some variants where some individuals don't have all that much of a clitoris on the surface. That said, the clitoral body is still, it wraps around the inside of the vagina. I know it's crazy. The clitoris seems to be sort of on the surface, but it actually is very deep within the anatomy. And so I would say experiment with other ways of finding pleasure if this is you and you just don't feel anything on the clitoris. But not all hope is lost. There are a few different things to try. Familiarize yourself with your anatomy and consider counseling if something traumatic has happened in your past. And feel free to play around down there. See what feels good. All right, question number 2. It seems like I just can't get turned on no matter what I do. What's wrong with me? Okay, nothing's wrong with you. Again, this is going to be a multi-factor issue. First of all, do you want to be turned on? If so, then there are a few different things you can do. First, experiment with what actually turns you on. You know, sometimes we are taught based on societal norms what should be sexy or what is arousing, but sometimes that's not the case for everybody. So give yourself the freedom to figure out what is arousing for you. Second, consider that there are some things that can interfere with arousal. Things like mental health conditions, sometimes even mental health treatment. So antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicines can affect our libido, our sex drive. So I would say, first of all, if you're experiencing anything like depression, sadness, anxiety, it's worth talking to a doctor for many reasons to treat the depression or anxiety, but also because sometimes that's linked with not getting turned on. So it's worth talking to a doctor for many reasons. If you are on an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medicine that is potentially interfering with your sex drive, talk to your doctor too. You can try some different ones and see if there are ways that you can get turned on again. The last thing to think about is, usually in young people this isn't an issue, but hormones are generally what cause sex drive. So if you've never had arousal, or if you're a little bit older and you're experiencing some difficulty, it's worth talking to a doctor about maybe checking some hormones to see if everything is in order. But if you want to be aroused, experiment and address any underlying health concerns that you might have. And that'll probably help. Question number 3. I was previously on birth control pills and I had to stop taking them because they were causing extreme dryness in my vagina. Ever since I came off of them, the inside of my vagina still tends to be very dry, even during sex. Is there anything I can try to bring that back? My partner thinks I'm not enjoying it, but I am. I would be curious to know, first off, which birth control pill you were on. So there are different formulations that have higher doses of one hormone or another that can cause dryness. So it's up to you if you want to be back on birth control or not. But there is an added benefit of going over different formulations with your doctor. But another thing to consider is that some people have drier vaginas. It's a balance of hormones, and so what you can do, I know it's always, everybody wants to produce things naturally and at the right time. Sometimes it can seem like you are wet all the time except for sexual intercourse, and it can be really frustrating. But what I would recommend is getting comfortable with lube, seriously, or doing a little oral moisturizing beforehand. But I would say that if it's causing sexual displeasure, it's worth talking to a doctor to see if maybe there are some hormone levels within you that are a little out of whack, and you can fix those pretty easily. Question number 4. I love having sex with my girlfriend, and I've never had any issue getting her to orgasm. But over a year together, she hasn't been able to make me orgasm. Do I masturbate too much? No. So, good job getting her to orgasm. That's great. I love that you enjoy sex and that that's a goal for you. What I would do is some more experimenting and do some different positions. Masturbation generally isn't going to be the cause of someone not being able to orgasm. What it can do is get you used to certain strokes or things that feel good to you that aren't necessarily elicited with sex. And so I would talk with your partner a little bit more openly and say what feels good, or see if she's interested in trying different positions. If you are masturbating beforehand or regularly, that might delay a little bit the time to orgasm for you. And so cutting back on masturbation might help as well, just because the more you prime the system, the less effective it's going to be when you're having sex. So I would say if you're masturbating beforehand, don't. And if you are masturbating multiple times a day, try to cut back, just for the sake of trying to reach orgasm with your partner. And then question number 5. I recently started on an antidepressant, and my girlfriend and I both had sex for the first time soon after, and I wasn't able to finish. I chalked it up to nerves, which definitely was a contributing factor, but during masturbation alone I realized it took a bit longer to finish and didn't feel exactly the same way as usual. I've talked to my girlfriend about it, and she's very supportive and says that my body is just adjusting. Should this be something to worry about, or will my body naturally acclimate to the new medication? That's a great question, and you should first of all be this. I don't mean to sound condescending, but you should be applauded for seeking help for your mental health, but then talking so openly about this with your girlfriend. And I love that she's so supportive and appreciative. That in and of itself just shows that you guys have a wonderful relationship, and you'll get through this. What I would say is, yes, that some antidepressants can cause a delay in orgasm or difficulty achieving orgasm. Some of them cause difficulty with arousal. It is a good sign that you are able to masturbate and orgasm. So I would suspect that you could give it a little bit more time until things reach a steady state in your body. And then once your mental health is at a good place, you could talk to your doctor if you still have a hard time with orgasm. I suspect that part of it would have been the fact that it was your first time and it might be difficult to orgasm. You should ultimately be able to be turned on and achieve orgasm on antidepressants. So there are other types that you could try for sure. I hope this answers some of your troubleshooting questions, and I will look forward to more from you guys. And remember, if you have a question for Ask Dr. T, you can either respond in this video or submit through my website, askdrt.net.